It's been almost 20 years now since I buried her out in the cold winter snow, tears cutting my face as they froze solid like her lifeless body. I can still feel the pickaxe in my hand, but perhaps I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Maybe I should start at the beginning. I don't know why I fear that my oldest memories are from when I was a baby. I often catch myself pretending that they were from when I was 3 or perhaps 2 even, but inside I know that I was even younger than that. I remember my mom's young face. Do you remember your mother's face from when she was young? I do. Her smile and her eyes. She was always so happy with me. She was the definition of a perfect mother's love. The truth is, she loved everybody. She always wanted to make sure that people knew that they were important to her. And one of the ways she showed them was by giving them gifts on special occasions like birthdays and Christmas. The gifts weren't expensive or fancy, but the way she presented them was everything. She always made sure that when she was wrapping the gifts, she would use the perfect amount of wrapping paper. She paid extra attention to the folds and always made sure that the creases were sharp and flat and the tape was perfectly placed in, the least visible spots. But her care didn't stop there. She would wrap the gift with ribbons and bows and put a little tag on it, and her cursive was it was elegant. I remember she even taught me how to run my scissors over the tail of the ribbon to make it curl up. She put a lot of love and care into the presentation. To her, it was always like letting the person know that they were important was the most important part of giving a gift. It wasn't about what the gift was that was important. It was the love that was behind the giving that mattered the most. Man, that made my childhood so awesome. You can imagine if she put that much care into the individual present, then you can imagine how she would dress up the house for birthdays and Christmas. She had all these singing angels and Christmas tapes that she would play 24 hours a day. That must have drove my dad crazy. But even with limited means, she gave me a truly magical childhood. And I'm honestly blessed to have her as a mother. I loved waking up on Christmas morning to that beautiful display. All the colors and ribbons and bows was just amazing. She even did that on birthdays, which brings me to one of the most important birthdays of my life. My 5th birthday. I think that during that time, things were a little rough financially for my family. My brother and sister, they were twins and they weren't even 1 year old yet. It just seemed like that was a time that money was pretty tight for us. Maybe that's why I was looking forward to my birthday party, kind of like a relief from all the stress that had been going around. I couldn't wait for that mound of colorful and beautiful presents. I was ecstatic. When it became time for the party, my mom told me to go outside, go out the back door to where my family was seated, all in a circle. When I think back, I can still see them all smiling and their Polaroid cameras flashing. And it was like a dream. Isn't it amazing how children frolic in happiness? That's how it was for me. It didn't take long, however, for my happiness to turn into horror. I looked around and around, and there were no presents. There were no beautiful colors or ribbons or bows. Up until then, I had never felt that much disappointment. Maybe it was selfish of me to feel that way. I don't know. I asked my mom where were all the presents. She said, "Well, your present's right there, sweetie," and pointed at an old, dirty clothes basket. I thought it was some type of joke. It's just an old brown laundry basket. It even had dirty clothes hanging out. A tear started swelling up in my eyes. I mean, didn't she know what was important to me? Still, she urged me up to the basket, and it had a lid on it and a white piece of sheet hanging out. I walked up to the basket and pulled the lid off, and what I saw inside changed my life forever. It was a little black puppy. I couldn't believe it. She was beautiful and happy. She was an absolutely perfect puppy. After we all got done eating cake and ice cream, my cousin and I sat on the stairs in the back, and we tried to think of names for her. I thought of every name I could think of, and even though I was only 5, I could think of a lot. But none of them were right. They just didn't seem to fit her right. And that's when I got hit with the aha moment. I spurted out, "Black Beauty." And I looked at my cousin, and the look on his face let me know that was the perfect name for her. I mean, she was black and she was beautiful. So we decided to call her Blacky for short. That dog was with me my entire childhood. She was an amazing friend. I remember one time when she got pregnant, she had 16 puppies. I think the world record at the time was 21, so having your friend almost beat the world record was nothing short of amazing. She would go down to the pond with us to catch frogs and turtles, and it just made me so happy to watch her run around and jump in that stinky pond water. I'm sure my parents loved that. Probably one of the coolest quirks she had was, if a dog can have quirks, was that she loved sandwiches. Any type of sandwiches. She loved peanut butter and jellies, turkey sandwiches, and ham sandwiches. She loved all of them. And when she would see that I was willing to give her my sandwich, she would almost skip up to me. Her face would actually smile, and I would laugh and laugh and laugh. I thought it was just the best thing in the world to have a dog that loved sandwiches more than bones. She would take the sandwiches and bury them all over the yard, and it just made me so happy. A few more years went by in life, and Blacky was there through all of it. One year she developed a flea allergy. I can't think of too many worse allergies for a dog to have. She ended up losing most of her fur, but she was still beautiful to me. We bought her all the medicines and collars and drips and drops to help her manage, but she was never the same. I think it took a toll on her. As I grew into a teenager, her arthritis started taking hold, and she began to slow down even more, and her eyes started to cloud over, and the effects of age were well into her by that time. Unfortunately, my family was going through a hard time of their own, and when I was 16, my mom and dad got a divorce. It affected me pretty hard, and the world was beginning to show its cruel face. I'd been severely bullied at school for many years, and home was the only love that I felt. And here it was falling apart. I ended up rebelling against everyone and everything. I rebelled harder than most. I left home and I got lost for a few years. One day when I was 19, I got a message from my friend's mom. There was a problem at home and I needed to get there. Blacky had died. It was the middle of January in Illinois, which can be a pretty brutal time of year. I didn't have a car or any money, so I asked my friend to drive me down to Mom's house. I walked in the back door and saw my brother and sister sitting on the floor, my mom on the couch. The looks on their faces were just horrified. They knew this was hitting me hard. Where had I been the last 3 years? Why was this the thing that brought me back home? I could barely speak, but I managed to whimper out a shaky, "Where is she?" Mom said that she was still in the garage. She had tried to bury her, but the ground was frozen and she couldn't get through. I went out the door to the garage and my brother started to follow. Mama called him back. She knew I needed to do this on my own. I remember walking up to that cardboard box and it was like I was in slow motion. It had a corner of a white sheet hanging over the edge, just like the basket did when I first got her. I felt my heart literally break the second I saw her black fur in that box. I kneeled down beside her, patted her on the stomach like she used to love so much. It was unreal to feel how cold she was and how rock solid her frozen body was. And that's when I knew the magic of my childhood was gone. I remember using that pickaxe to chip a hole in the frozen ground, and I remember how the tears sliced into my cheeks as they froze. It took a couple hours to lay her down, and as I did, my mind flashed to all the great memories we had. That's when I realized that I never saw her actually eat any of those sandwiches. I don't even think she liked them. I think she just took them because she knew it made me happy. I think everything she did was to show me that she cared for me. Everything she did out of love. I almost hate to admit it, but everything was dull the rest of that winter. It just seemed like the meaning was gone from everything. I had lost people before, but no one so close to me. And by the time spring rolled around, Blacky had taught me one last thing. She taught me that I shouldn't be sad about the day that she died. I should be happy about the 14 years that she lived. This is how I handle the deaths of any of my loved ones. We can't always pick the things that happen to us, but we can pick what they mean. Our loved ones are a blessing on our life, and I think it's important to remember all the joy and the love instead of carrying around the pain of the loss. Blacky. Hey girl. If you can hear me, thank you. Thank you for teaching me this. Thank you for everything.